Thank you. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Discover the University of Waterloo. And I know some of you will be trickling in as I speak, so welcome to all the participants in the meet so far. My name is Jennifer Goche. I am the 7 to 12 science and 9 to 12 phys ed consultant with the Ottawa Catholic School Board. And I'm so pleased to be here with Jay Smith, who is your facilitator for this presentation. Jay is a graduate from the University of Waterloo, and he now works as a national recruiter, connecting with future Waterloo warriors. So he'll be answering your questions and helping you to decide if you'd like to study at the University of Waterloo someday. So without further ado, I will pass everything over to Jay. I'm going to mute and turn off my camera, but I will be monitoring the question and answer chat. Just know that throughout the meeting, if you have questions, please go ahead and populate them to the question and answer box. At the end of the meeting, we will leave time for your questions. Okay, so we'll just go through the presentation first, and I'll see you on the flip side for the question and answer.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Jennifer. And yeah, welcome everybody. Thanks for making Waterloo part of your day today, and hope everything with lunch is going well. If you had a chance to look through this, there are 11 differences, so maybe you caught them all. So yeah, over the next little bit, I'm going to chat with you a little bit more about how you can discover your story at the University of Waterloo. So I'm going to let you know about some of our academic programs that we offer. I'll let you know about the ways you can get some really good hands-on learning experiences, probably by joining the world's largest co-op program. And I'll have some time to let you know a little bit more about student life and how you can find your community at the University of Waterloo as well. So my name is Jay. As you heard, I use he, him pronouns, and I am a graduate from the University of Waterloo. I was in a program called Honors Arts and Business, where I majored in history. And yeah, my job right now is to work with students like you to help you learn more about the University of Waterloo. So I'm here to answer your questions. I've got some colleagues in the Waterloo booth, part of lunch as well. So after this, if you've got some more specific questions, you can chat with them and get your answers or find the links to the different pages that are most popular. And if you think of things later on, I'll put up my contact info at the end. So you can feel free to send questions my way. The university literally pays me to answer your questions, so don't feel like you are bothering me if you send those questions my way. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we do live, work, and study on the traditional territory of the Neutral, Anishinaabe, and the Haudenosaunee peoples. And our main campus is situated on the Haldimand Tract, which is the land that was granted to the Six Nations, and that includes 6 miles on each side of the Grand River. And across all of our campuses, we are actively engaged in work towards reconciliation, and you often see this through our teaching and our learning and our community building and our research. And much of this is centered through the Office of Indigenous Relations. And we have a new addition on our campus just in the last, in September. We have a brand new outdoor Indigenous gathering space. So it'll be, it's a great addition for our students and steps towards reconciliation. It's not only going to be a space for social and ceremonial gatherings, but also an outdoor classroom as well. So it's great to see that we have a lot of that built into some of our curriculum and programming at Waterloo. So you're probably here because you have at least some degree of interest in the University of Waterloo, and some of you, it might be right at the top of your list, and for others, it's maybe you're checking it out to see if it checks off those boxes of what you're looking for. But at any case, you're probably still wondering at some point, like, why Waterloo? How do you stand out, and what do you do differently? And I think a core value in everything that we do at Waterloo is to ensure our students are getting some really great, relevant, beneficial, and hands-on learning experience. So this is going to happen in a number of different ways. It'll be part of your program and your lectures and your classes. You're probably going to have access to studios and labs. There's going to be field courses and field trips. But many of you are also going to be taking advantage of cooperative education or co-op. And that's something that we brag about a lot at Waterloo. Co-op started at the University of Waterloo in Canada, and since then it's grown to become the largest program of its kind in the entire world. So it's going to allow our students to get both academics and work experience as part of their program. And if you take advantage of any of these opportunities, you are going to be graduating with much more than just a degree. You're going to have some great experiences that are going to make it that much easier to achieve your academic and your career development goals, probably make it that much easier to step into a career or into graduate school after you complete your studies, and probably make it that much easier to step into a career that you know you love because you get to try it out a little bit before you jump right in. And this will be regardless of the program that you choose. We've got more than 100 options at Waterloo. and we group them into what we call faculties. So we've got the faculties of arts, engineering, environment, health, mathematics, and science, and we have a number of business programs in there as well. So I'm going to take some time and highlight each of these so you can maybe find the program that you're interested in, or maybe even come across a program that you didn't even know was an option before. And we're going to start with my home faculty, the Faculty of Arts. So this is home to the humanities and social sciences, fine and performing arts, and languages and culture. So maybe you've got dreams that lie in accounting or UX design, maybe research and policy, or teaching, counseling, all those directions. You're going to find some great programs here that'll lead you in that direction. At the core of all of our programs, though, in arts, you're going to be developing your human-centered skills. So that's getting the like creative thinking, problem solving, critical thinking, teamwork, leadership, all those great experiences that'll help set you up for a changing world and an unpredictable future, basically. Because things are always changing. For example, I'm sure many of you have used ChatGPT or some version of AI, and that's changing the way that you're a student. It's changing the way that I do my work, and it's changing workplaces all around the world. But what's not changing is employers' demands for individuals who are able to adapt to these changing workplaces and adapting to changing technology. And those are the skills that you're going to be developing as a Faculty of Arts student. Next up, we have the largest school of engineering in Canada, which is, of course, our Faculty of Engineering. And this ranks top 40 worldwide. And we also have the largest and most active engineering student society in the country as well. So lots of great ways to connect with students who have similar interests as you, both inside and outside of the classroom. A couple of things that I like to highlight here is that we do not have a general first year of engineering. So you can see our list of engineering programs here, and you would apply directly to the one that you're most interested in. And if you receive an offer to that program, that's the one you're going to begin studying on day one. So there's no worries about a large general first year class and then hoping to get into your area of engineering in year two. You're already going to have that locked in and begin those studies on your first day on campus. And it also means that we have no engineering class bigger than 120 students. So you're going to be with that same group of engineers who are in that same area as you all the way through until you graduate. So it creates a really strong bond between you and your classmates as well. And then co-op is also built right into all of our engineering programs. So you're going to get that great work experience right away, usually starting right at the end of your first year. Excuse me. Again, hands-on learning, big part of our programs, especially in engineering. You're going to have access to what's called the Ideas Clinic. And this is a safe space for our first year engineering students to tackle design challenges and problem solving and teamwork. For example, in this image here, we've got one of our architectural engineering students who's designing a piece of furniture using some honeycomb cardboard. And then in the Ideas Clinic, it's going to go through some stress tests. Basically, in this case, the professors actually put sandbags on top of the furniture until it fails. So it really is simulating how engineers are approaching problem solving. So gonna have to figure out what went wrong, make some improvements, create a new iteration, back to the problem lab or the Ideas Clinic, and go through some further testing. So this is a space, especially for our first year students, to get access to that learning right in your first week. Next, we have an entire faculty that's dedicated to the environment. So if you're interested in making the world a greener place or more sustainable, you're going to find some great programs here. Programs like geomatics that combine computer science and geography. If you want to help design future cities, we've got programs like planning, and we've also got climate and environmental change, which is one of our newest programs, and that will allow you to use your science background to look at how we need to adapt to a changing climate. So that's some great programs there. Of course, if you're going to be studying the environment, we want to make sure you get out and are studying the world around you. So there are a lot of really cool field courses and field trips built into most of these programs. For example, this is a group of our environment, resources, and sustainability students. They did a course recently that was just 9 days long, and it took them to Cape Town, South Africa, where they were living with locals. So they were preparing local dishes from the distinct neighborhoods that they were in. They were learning about the lasting impacts of apartheid and what it's had on the built environment there. I got to do some diving because they're rehabbing some shark populations there. So they're looking at some marine biodiversity. And there's also been a lot of droughts around Cape Town, South Africa recently. So our students were working with the regional facilities or personnel there to understand how they're mitigating those risks. And especially when it comes to forest fires that can be a result of those droughts. So again, studying the environment, you're going to have lots of opportunities to get out there and explore it. Another faculty that's all about making the world a better place is our Faculty of Health. So this is where you're going to find programs that could help lead you into careers that are going to help and make people have happier and healthier lives. So maybe if you're thinking, want to get into medicine, maybe physiotherapy, community or public health, or even into recreation and sport management, some great programs here. And these are also very hands-on. There's lots of labs and using some real-world case studies as part of your program as well. We actually have the first department of kinesiology in the world, and they have a human anatomy lab right in first year. And this is kind of unique because at a lot of other universities, it's not something you have access to until your upper years or maybe even graduate school. But as a kinesiology student at Waterloo, you're going to be in the human anatomy lab where you're going to be working with actual human cadavers. So that means you're not just studying the human body by looking at diagrams in a textbook, but you're going to have that human cadaver right in front of you, which if you're not sure what a cadaver is, it's people who have donated their bodies to science after they pass. We've got upper year students who take those donations and prepare them into cadavers that our students use to study. So you could take a look at how the muscle connects to the skin tissue, or what heart disease look like, or what a broken bone looks like after it heals. So if you find that a little bit squeamish, maybe don't go into kinesiology, but if you're really interested in the human body, definitely check out a program like that. Waterloo is also home to the only center of mathematics in North America. So this is huge at Waterloo. We've got more than 500 courses related to mathematics, computer science, and statistics that are really going to help you develop and deepen your talents in those areas. And excuse me, we've got tons of great opportunities that you can do, not just in the classroom here, but if any of you are F1 fans or Drive to Survive fans, this is one of my favorite stories. We've got a group of our students paired up with their peers from MIT, the University of Pittsburgh, and the Rochester Institute of Technology, and they completely built and designed a self-driving race car. And just recently, they had the opportunity to take it to the Monza F1 circuit in Milan, Italy, and participated in the Indy Autonomous Challenge. So they channeled their mathematics and computer science background into every detail of the car's operation. And it knew exactly like how fast to go into and out of turns. It knew how and when to overtake other cars, all without a driver. And I often think like this is pretty impressive for our students, especially considering they are the only team made up of undergrad students. They didn't even have a degree yet. And all the other teams had PhDs or graduate students. So this really goes to show you the problem solving and the human to computer interactions you're going to be learning about and how to design algorithms, and then could even end up in a cool career like this. And then finally, we have our internationally ranked Faculty of Science. So this is home to programs like biology and physics and chemistry and combinations of all of those. It also has some unique programs like science and business, science and aviation, and even environmental science. So great ways to customize the programs based on what you're really interested in. And at the end of the day, we want to make sure that you're going to get the skills so you can successfully enter the workplace as a scientist, maybe go on to graduate school where you can continue with research, or maybe even go to professional school if you're thinking something like medicine or pharmacy or optometry or something like that. Again, this is one of our most research-intensive faculties, so lots of opportunities for you to get some hands-on learning here and work with some of our award-winning faculty members. For example, Dr. Donna Strickland won the Nobel Prize in Physics in 2018. So that's a pretty big deal because she's designed a lot of our first-year physics labs for our students, and she studies lasers, which is pretty neat. This photo here is from our Center for Astrophysics. So it's one of the physics labs that supports this. And I'm not going to lie to you, I have no idea what's going on in this image. I don't know what this tool is or what this equipment is or what it does. But what they tell me is that in this lab, they're studying things like the dynamics of dark matter. They're looking at black holes and they're looking at star formation and things like that. Actually, the first ever image taken of a black hole just a couple years ago, part of that team was a group of Waterloo science students. So pretty impressive to be part of that like major international scientific breakthrough. And again, those students didn't even have degrees yet. Finally, we've got a group of business programs at Waterloo that are found within those 6 faculties. So if you are thinking of earning your CPA or CFA designation, we have 5 programs in our School of Accounting and Finance, which is one of the most direct ways to earning those professional designations in Ontario. Otherwise, we have our really unique Plus Business programs. So these are fundamentally different than the ways that other universities might offer business programs because you're studying more than just business. We're going to pair up business with another field. So for example, my program was arts and business. That allowed me to make history my focus, and then I complemented that with business. And you can do the same thing with chemistry or sports or whatever it might be. And so we have arts and business, we have environment and business, math and business, science and business, and sport and recreation management. So 2 ways that you're going to be able to study subjects that you really love and how to bring those together. And this has kind of been born by our connections with employers who have told us there's lots of really great business experts out there, but what they could also use is people who have a business background and another area and know how to bridge that gap. So that's another thing to look into at Waterloo. Of course, once you have an idea of what you want to study, you're probably thinking, what do you need to get into that program? So at Waterloo, we make your admissions using your top 6 grade 12 U or M level courses. And our programs at Waterloo range from the high 70s and low 80s. That's where the bulk of our programs are. But we do have some more competitive programs that can go into the 90s. And so if you go to the website that's here, or if you stop by the Waterloo booth, you can click on the link that'll take you directly to the admissions page, put in the program you're looking for, and it will let you know exactly what admission average you should be aiming for at a minimum in order to be considered. And it will also let you know about the required courses that you need to take as well. So all of our programs have at least 1 required course, but some of our programs can be up to 5, and you need to make sure you're taking those required courses because they will be included in your top 6. It's important to note that some of our programs do use more than just grades, though. If you are applying to a program in the Faculty of Engineering, the Faculty of Math, including Computer Science, or to our Conditional Admission to Pharmacy program, then we do ask you to complete the AIF, or the Admission Information Form. And this is your chance to let us know everything you're doing when you're not in class. So highlighting your clubs, teams, councils, part-time jobs, volunteer work, your awards, hobbies, even your responsibilities at home. Let us know what you're doing with your time and the skills and the experiences that you're gaining from those and how they're going to help you be a successful student at Waterloo. The questions are posted already, so you can just Google UWaterloo AIF questions and you can see what you need to start preparing for. And if you apply to our engineering program, there's also an optional video interview. It's something you do in your own time. You record your response to a question, and that gets submitted to us as well. So it is optional, but I highly recommend you do that. For every other program, though, at Waterloo, we're just using grades. Not the most exciting topic, but one that I think is important to give you some realistic expectations when it comes to looking into universities is the cost. So tuition can range by faculty, and for Canadian citizens, this can be anything from about $9,000 to about $18,000 per year for our programs. On top of that, you've got some living expenses if you're going to be going to residence and you've got a meal plan or maybe paying rent and buying groceries and things like that. So it does add up. You're looking at about maybe $25,000 to about $45,000 per year when you go to university, again, for Canadian citizens. Of course, there's lots of ways to help offset those costs. There's scholarships. Most at Waterloo, you don't need to apply for it. You'll be considered automatically. You want to aim for a admission average of at least 85% in order to qualify for something there. There's government loans and OSAP and bursaries, but probably the number one way that our students are funding their education is by going through co-op, because these are those work experiences that allow you to not only gain experience, but also to get paid. So our students are making anywhere from about $9,000 to about $22,000 in their first work term, and you've got the opportunity to gain even more as you gain more experiences in your upper years. And you're going to have 4 to 6 work terms, so lots of great opportunities there to put that money right back towards your tuition. You'll apply directly to a co-op program when you're applying to the university. A lot of our programs are, some of them are co-op only, some of them are regular only, but a lot will have either regular or co-op, so you can decide. But you would apply directly to it there. And then either at the end of your first year or into your second year, you're going to go on your first 4-month work term. So during that time, you're working full-time with an employer, you're gaining experience, you're getting paid, no classes, no homework or anything like that. And after 4 months, you return to campus and you study for 4 months. And then you go back out for another work term for another 4 months, usually with a different employer or trying something different. And we encourage you to take advantage of those as you go. Test drive different careers, find out what you like and what you don't like. This does add a year to your studies, but when you graduate, you'll have not only a degree, you're going to have up to 2 years of paid work experience and a great connection with a lot of employers as well. I do want to be honest with you, though, that co-op can be challenging. It is a competitive process. So we're not just going to place you with a company or just automatically match you. You will have to go through the job search process. So this means you are going to be developing your resume, you apply to jobs, and you go to interviews. But by attending the school with the largest co-op program, we've got a lot of support as well. So we've got more than 8,000 employers in 75 different countries that are hiring our students every term. So last year we had more than 25,000 students go out and get jobs. We also are going to have a co-op advisor that will work with you to make sure everything's set, and it's kind of your main touch point as you go throughout. And we've consistently had a really high employment rate as well. Our students who are able, like, you might need to brush up on their confidence in interviews or something like that. We've got interview workshops, we do resume critiques, and we help you with those job search skills. So if you take advantage of those, you have usually a pretty successful time at finding employment. Maybe the most underrated parts of going into co-op is that you are going to become a pro at the job search process. If you consider that you're going to have 4 to 6 work terms and you're applying to jobs every time and you're going to a ton of interviews, it's nothing when you graduate to whip up a resume and go into an interview and feel really confident in your responses. So that's one. And then the other great advantage, I think, is being able to find out what you like as well as what you don't like. As a history student, I always thought I wanted to work in a museum. I did my first work term in one and realized about 2 weeks in that I never wanted to work in a museum again. Nothing against the museum. It was just the type of job I was doing. I was working with artifacts and doing a lot of the cleaning and research and documenting of those artifacts. So not the most exciting for me. But my last co-op term, I got to go to Glasgow, Scotland. I was working as a business consultant there for the Royal Glasgow Concert Hall. That's when I realized I liked the business side of my program much more than I thought. So, and also how I could use my history skills in that. So that's the other great thing about going into co-op as well. Now, what you do in the classroom and on those co-op terms, that's important, of course, but I think some of your most memorable moments are going to be the ones that happen outside of those places and within the communities you join and with the new friends that you make as well. We've got about 35,000 undergraduate students at Waterloo, so a great way for you to connect with students who are in different programs and from all over the world, but might have similar interests as you. Probably the number one way that our students are making these connections is by living on campus. And we do offer a first-year residence guarantee. So if you want to live on campus with us, we'll have a spot for you as long as you meet the deadlines in June. And we've got traditional style residences where you have your own room or a bedroom. And we also have apartment style where you have your own you have your own room, but you share a living room and a kitchen area with 2 or 3 other students. So different options that you can look in there. And we've got, if you can't come to campus, we've got video tours of all of our residence rooms online as well. Another big way that a lot of our students are making connections is by joining student clubs. So we've got more than 200 of them. We've got religious and cultural clubs. We've got some academic related ones like pre-med and pre-law. And then we've got some clubs that have absolutely nothing to do with that at all. For example, we've got the club Control A, which is the club that really loves anime. We've got the knitting club and the juggling club. And another one that gets a really good reaction is our Campus Crusade for Cheese. And this is literally just a group of students who love cheese so much, they get together and they eat cheese and they talk about how much they love cheese and they play board games just to change it up a little bit. But if we've got a cheese club, I'm sure you can imagine we've got a club for just about anybody out there. We also have one of the largest campus recreation programs in the country, so it's really important to take a break from your academics and have some fun and stay active and meet people. So you can play intramurals, everything from beginner, ultimate frisbee, up to advanced hockey. We've got dodgeball and basketball and soccer in there as well. We've got a 3-story bouldering wall. We've got our own pool and arena on campus. And our fitness facilities have all been redone and lots of great dance studios and martial arts space as well. And for those of you who want to play at the highest athletic ability, we're home to the Waterloo Warriors. We've got 36 varsity teams that are competing against other universities. And if you go to gowarriorsgo.ca, you can connect with our coaches and ask them about different tryouts and opportunities to join the team. As we get near the end here, just a couple of things that I like to highlight as well. When you go to university, it's a time of a lot of fun, but also a lot of firsts. And that's why it's really important to make those connections in your first year with your peers, because there's going to be about 7,000 of you going through the exact same thing, probably the same question. So when you're feeling a little nervous or overwhelmed, those are good people to go to. But also note that we've got some great professionals on campus as well and some supports that are there for you. We've got our own health services on campus with doctors and nurses. We provide free mental health supports and counseling services for our students. If you have an IEP or require any sort of academic accommodations, we've got the accessibility office that you can connect with as soon as you start applying. We also have the Racial Advocacy for Inclusion, Solidarity, and Equity group, otherwise known as RAISE, which addresses the impacts of racism on our campus. And we've got the GLOW Center for Sexual and Gender Diversity, which is actually Canada's oldest continuously run 2S LGBTQ+ student organization. So we're pretty proud of that. And we have the Waterloo Indigenous Student Center that provides academic, cultural, and social programming for Indigenous students. So most important thing to know is that there's not just one way to be a Waterloo warrior. So you can be yourself, bring your identity and your culture to campus, and know there's a spot for everyone. And if you haven't been to Waterloo before, we are about 100 kilometers west of Toronto. Takes about an hour and 20 minutes, depending on traffic, obviously, to get there, kind of between Toronto and London on the 401. This is a great place to be a university student because in addition to us, we've got our great neighbors, Wilfrid Laurier University, literally right next door, and Conestoga College with the campus down University Ave. So last time I checked, it's about a third of the city's population is students. So a lot of the businesses and services really cater to you. You've got access to the Grand River the transit system to get to and from campus. And yeah, tons of discounts and things that you can access as well. So it's not too big, not too busy, but there's a lot going on and definitely a great place to be a university student. So if that's checked off some boxes, a couple things you can think about. If you scan this QR code and put in your information, that'll subscribe you to our monthly newsletter. So that is a way that you'll get some tips and tricks from our students. They'll also let you know about upcoming deadlines and things like that too. Speaking of which, if you're not doing anything this weekend, on Saturday, we are hosting our fall open house. So that's a good time to come to campus and chat with students and check out the space, or you can always arrange your own tour any day but Sunday, basically, and we'll have another open house in March. And just for filling out this QR code, every Friday, we grab a bunch of names and send some people a Waterloo Warriors hoodie. So you might just happen to be one of the lucky winners this year. So that's what I wanted to cover with you. So I think, Jennifer, if there's some questions or popular questions that came in, we can spend some time on that. And also just note that my email is up on the screen. So if you think of questions either later on or you've got a really specific question, feel free to send that my way and I'll do my best to answer that as well.
Well, Jay, I think you win the award for the most amount of information in 20.
A lot, right?
Yeah, there were quite a few questions. So I'm going to start off with one that repeated quite frequently, and that was, will there be a copy of this presentation available somewhere, not just the video?
So with us, for, yeah, there'll be one through launch. So I'm not sure how to access that, but I'm sure the students will find out. For us, there's kind of a shortened version of this presentation on YouTube. If you just search Experience Waterloo, you'll be able to find it on there. And then some more specific presentations as well. That might be like more specific about engineering or our accounting programs or whatever it might be.
Okay, great. Also, where would students go, potential students go, to find out more information about all the recreation offerings there are?
Yeah, good question. So for all of our clubs or intramurals or whatever it might be, if you just Google athletics, uwaterloo.ca, you can find them all there. So there's everything from our varsity teams and how you can connect with the coaches and if they have tryouts or walk-ons or maybe they've got development camps and things like that. You can see all of our intramural leagues. So that's everything from teams that you can join to the fitness classes and the dance studios that you can go into. And then we even have a huge and really successful e-leagues now. We're just about to construct our new e-arena for our teams as well. So you can see which ones are there. Some of them are for more recreational and some of them would be actual teams that compete against universities around the world. So athletics, Waterloo, you'll find that there.
Amazing. Insofar as admissions, are AP or IB courses taken into consideration when you're looking at marks, the difference between those pathways, the levels versus
yeah, we get this question a lot. There's no admissions advantage to doing IB or AP. We actually don't, if you're in Ontario, we actually don't know if you're enrolled in an IB or IP program. So we take the course, the grade that is sent to us. So typically, for example, if you're in IB, your school will convert that grade into the Ontario percentage, and that's what we use. So no admissions advantage there. However, I still encourage students to let us know on their AIF, the admission information form, if they were in IB or AP, because there's not like a specific bonus that we would give there, but we could factor it into everything else that we're looking at. And then, of course, we do recognize that it can be a more challenging curriculum. So depending on the program that you apply to, there might be the opportunity for some transfer credits, depending on the grade that you received and the program that you go into. So no admissions advantage, but there are some benefits that come to it once you're in Waterloo. I can't hear you, Jennifer. I think it got muted. Yeah, there we go.
Sorry. Can you apply to more than 3 programs at Waterloo?
Good question. So yeah, maximum of 3 programs at the University of Waterloo. The exception to that is you can only apply to 1 engineering program. So again, we don't have a general first year, but it's really important that you take the time and take a look at which engineering program might be the best for you, because you can only apply to 1 engineering program, but you can apply to 3 maximum at Waterloo. So you could do like 1 in engineering, but 2 in math, or 3 in science, or whatever it might be, but just 1 engineering program at Waterloo.
Okay. Does the CCC Canadian Computing Contest or CMC Math Contest matter when looking at acceptance?
Yeah, if you're applying to a Faculty of Mathematics program, including computer science, we really like to see that students have participated in these math contests because we facilitate them. A little insider info is that your score doesn't actually matter, just your participation does. So if you wake up the day of the test and you're just not feeling it or it doesn't go well, that is not going to disadvantage you at all. Just the fact that you challenged it, that's what we're looking for. So yeah, we've got the Canadian Computing Contest, the Senior Math Contest, and the Euclid Math Contest. So especially if you're applying to math or computer science, do at least one of those, if not all of them. That could also unlock some additional scholarships for you. And then if you're applying to any other program, like in engineering, you could also do them, include that on your AIF, and that would be something that we would factor into the overall score as well. So again, something that we encourage you to do. It can only benefit you, wouldn't disadvantage you.
Okay. And similarly, do you consider students enrolled in SHISM, specialized high school majors courses?
Yeah, so that's if you're applying to math and engineering, and the reason why I keep going to those is because those are the 2 faculties that require that supplemental information, the admission information form. So if you're part of a SHISM or a specialist high skills major, you can indicate that on your AIF. Again, not a specific thing that we're looking for, but it might be able to like factor into the overall score. New this year, though, if you're applying to a Faculty of Science program at Waterloo and you have participated in a SHISM, we are now offering some entrance scholarships available to you there. So my hope is now that science is starting this year, the other faculties will come on board. But right now, if you're applying to a science program at Waterloo and you've completed a SHISM, there is some extra scholarship money that you'll be eligible for.
And is that by application or automatic scholarships?
Yeah, so this most scholarships will be automatic using either just your admission average or a mix of your admission average and your information form. But with science and some of our other scholarships, we'll let you know about some other opportunities probably around February where you can let us know. It's usually just completing a form and maybe supplying some other information. And that's where you could let us know about the SHISM, for example. So if you end up applying, just watch your email. Or even if you go to our financing webpage at Waterloo, you can find the scholarship database. You can go through there. And again, most of them you don't need to apply for, but you'll be able to see some scholarships that might require an additional form or an application. Most of them aren't due until February, but always a good idea to start planning ahead.
This question, I'm hoping I understood correctly. Is there a conversion factor for your average depending on the school? Subtracting a certain amount from the given average, depending on the high school the mark comes from?
Sure. So for the most part, no. Our Faculty of Engineering, though, does have what's called an adjustment factor, which is dependent on the school that you've gone to. So majority of schools and majority of students in Ontario receive the same adjustment. There are a small amount of schools, it's about 5% of the schools in Ontario are either a little bit higher or a little bit lower than the provincial average. And it's based on prior students' success in the program. But in the grand scheme of things for your application, it is actually quite minimal. So your grades, your admission information form, and that optional video interview, each of those 3 components is worth more than the adjustment factor would be. And it's out of your control. So I always tell students, don't worry about that. Focus on the 3 things that you can control. They have a bigger sway. And at the end of the day, it is just engineering. So no other program will look at your high school at all.
And are private school students considered the same as public school students?
Yep, same thing. So as long as it's accredited by the ministry, then we'll accept the grade as it is. So a grade is a grade to us. The one note I will make here is if you're applying to a competitive program at Waterloo, for example, engineering or math, then if you are in a regular day school, but you've taken a course at a private school, we're going to want to know why. Because if it looks to us that you've done it because you can get a higher mark, then we're going to have some questions for you. But if it's something beyond your control, like there was something, a scheduling issue, or a conflict with the classes available at your home school, that would be fine. But at the end of the day, we do encourage students to take their courses in their regular day school. But if you are enrolled at a private school, that's totally fine. We would still accept those grades as long as it's approved by the ministry.
Okay. And what happens if students have an IEP? Could you go through a process?
Yeah, great question. So students can connect with our accessibility office right away, even before applying if you do have an IEP. And this could be different, like it could be housing related, it could be in the classroom. For us, if you need the email, it's access@uwaterloo.ca, or if you just Google accessibility services, uwaterloo, and we've got intake counselors there that would connect with you and just get a little bit more information from you and just get some documentation as well, just so we understand the requirements and we can let you know if you might require any updates or anything like that. But I've heard from many students who have used the resources that not only are they extremely accommodating, but it's also fairly low barrier too. So whether it's receiving assisted technology or note takers in a classroom, or maybe being able to write your exam in a smaller space or a quieter space, then our team works really well with our students and our professors to make sure those accommodations are in place. So yeah, if you're concerned about those or want to know them before you choose a university, you can reach out to our office immediately. Otherwise, I encourage students to connect at the same time that they're applying, just so they can start getting everything in place.
This is back to a recreation type question. Do you need to be on a high school sports team to be able to try out for the university team?
Not necessarily. No, if you want to try out for our university teams, they are required to have walk-ons or tryouts. What I recommend though is getting in touch with the coach before you arrive, because some of our teams do start in August and classes will start in September. So you want to know about those. Soccer, for example, they often do development days or camps that you can come into on a weekend. So it's good to be on the coach's radar, because even though they have walk-ons, they do sometimes have their team kind of made up before the season begins. So if you go to our athletics website, so again, just Google Waterloo Athletics or go to gowarriorsgo.ca, you can find the coaches list and reach out to them directly. Otherwise, sometimes I let students know that you can try out for teams and you may not make it in your first year, but you can always sometimes work out with the team or try out again in your upper years. The captain of our soccer team, for example, did not try out in his first year. He just played intramurals. A bunch of the guys on the team saw him playing, thought he was pretty good, told him to try out in his second year. So he did, made the team, but never played a game. And then in third year, started to get a little bit more playing time. And by his fourth and fifth year, he was the captain. So yeah, don't be discouraged if you don't find a spot right away. But otherwise, reach out to the coaches because each team can do things a little bit differently. And there's also athletic scholarships available, and that's entirely up to the coaches. So it's good to have them on have you on their radar.
This is back to a co-op question. What happens if you don't find a job for your co-op term?
Okay, yeah, we get this one quite a bit. And so the first thing I like to highlight again is our employment rate is pretty high consistently. It's in usually the mid to high 90s. And so if you put the effort into it, you're going to find something. Often, I know this sounds bad, but often when we chat with students who are having difficulty, we ask them like, what resources have you accessed? And they haven't done anything. So they're just kind of taking co-op for granted. And again, remember, it's not an automatic placement or a match. You do have to put the effort into it and stand out from other students who are applying. So first thing I would recommend is just make sure you're taking advantage of all of those resources. So you're getting your resume critiqued, you're going to the interview skills workshops, you are customizing your cover letter and your resume based on the jobs that you're applying to. Show the employer that you want to work there and why you're a good candidate. If you're still having some issues, you will have a co-op advisor who you can chat with, who can walk you through your search. Maybe you're being a little bit too specific or too narrow, especially in your first year, which can be often the most challenging time because you're competing for jobs with students who sometimes have 3 or 4 terms experience. So they can give you some tips. If it still gets to a difficulty, we have something on campus called We Accelerate, which is a way for our first year students who don't find a job to gain their really important skills, like professional development skills. They'll do some consulting projects with real companies, so they're getting some good experience that way, and they're working in small teams. So we're going to do kind of like an alternative first term with you to make sure that you're going to be successful going into your second co-op term. So we've got lots of plans in place, but if you're motivated to get a job, everything's there for you to make sure you get that.
And if you apply to a co-op program and don't get accepted to that, are you automatically placed into the same program without the co-op option? if you meet those
You
requirements.
are, yeah, but there's another exception. So for most of our programs, especially right now, if you're not sure if you want to go into co-op or regular, then just apply to co-op because in most instances, we would consider you for co-op. And if you're not admissible, but we have space, we could consider you for the regular stream. So just use one application there. And then even if you go into regular, because co-op usually doesn't start until second year, there might even be an opportunity for you to work your way back into co-op before the first term. Um, the exception though is health sciences. It's been a pretty competitive program the last couple of years. So if you're interested in health sciences, we do actually recommend with that one that you use an application to both co-op and to regular to increase your chances. But that's the only program at Waterloo that we encourage you to do that. All the other ones, we have enough space. So just apply to co-op and we consider you automatically for regular. And then keep in mind that a lot of our programs are co-op only. So like planning, accounting, a lot of our business programs and engineering, they all have co-op automatically built into them.
Okay, another question about sort of admissions again. Are summer school courses weighted the same as courses taken during the regular school year?
Sure. So same thing, engineering and math, that seems to be our exception too at Waterloo. If you're applying to a more competitive program, we just want you to take your courses through your regular day school. And so if you take summer school course, or even if you repeat a course, then engineering and math can make an adjustment depending on the reason. Again, if it's something beyond your control and that's your only option, then we would certainly consider that. But if you're trying to create a lighter schedule or you're retaking a course, or you think it might be a little bit easier doing summer school, then that's something that we could adjust your overall mark for. Every other program though at Waterloo, so programs in arts, environment, science, and health, summer school courses are fine. Repeated courses will take the highest mark, but engineering and math, we could make an adjustment if you repeat a course or take it outside of your regular day school. E-learning is fine. We'll be okay with e-learning.
And for residents, I guess, could you repeat the information that you said you had for students to look at the different types of housing options?
Yeah, so residence it's a first year guarantee. So the only thing you have to do there is accept your offer and then pay your deposit by the deadline in June. I think it's going to be June 10th this year, so lots of time. And we'll give you the instructions when you receive your offer. But we have 12 residence communities at Waterloo. So we've got some that are single rooms. We've got some double rooms that have like common facilities that you would use. And then we have apartment style residences as well. All of them are really close to campus. It's not like it's a spread out campus, but it really would only take you about 10 minutes to walk from the farthest residence to the farthest academic building. So pretty easy to get around there. And then after you select that you want to live on a residence later in the summer, you would do the residence preference form. So that's where you would rank every single residence option from your very first choice down to your least desirable choice. And a couple years ago, we found that about 80% of our students get one of their top 3 choices. But it is completely lottery based there with a weight towards your ranking. And if you end up in a room with a roommate, you would fill out a form about yourself and we'll do our best to match you with someone that we think you would be compatible with. If you are coming with a friend that you would like to live with, we'll do that automatically. Just you and your potential roommate would just put each other's name down on the form and we would automatically match you up. Just make sure you both do it. It's a little awkward if only one person puts the name down.
And are there accessible dorms for wheelchairs and accommodations?
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. So we've got any accessibility requests that you might require in residence. Again, you can go through our accessibility office to work that out. But we do have a number of rooms and washrooms that would be accessible to various needs. We've got rooms with and without carpets when it comes to allergies or things like that. If you have a service animal, that can be accommodated as well. So anything like that, once you go through the residence process, you'll learn a little bit more about how you can indicate that and provide documentation so we can make sure that we're giving you everything that you might need. But yes, those spaces do exist on campus. And kind of an extension of that is that we have a lot of food outlets on our campus, but all of the cafeterias and the residences are have every sort of dietary accommodation as well. So whether it's allergies or preferences or whatever it might be, and it's never like you go to the cafeteria and there's only one option. There's usually multiple options to choose from, and the chefs get to know our students really well and have it labeled really well. So you'll find lots of good options available there.
And to end with a question about food, because that's always the most important.
Sure.
Is it a meal plan or is it just a la carte where you pay per purchase?
Yeah, so we actually have different styles. If you live in the apartment, because there is a kitchen, you don't need a meal plan because you can make your own meals. Although many students who live there get some sort of a level of a meal plan because midterm season or the last thing you want to do is go get groceries, then you can just any food outlet on campus. Most of our residences that are traditional style have a cafeteria right in them, and it's a declining balance. So you would put if it's like light, medium, or hearty level of dollars on your student card. And as you take food, it gets deducted from your account. But you can also use that anywhere on campus. We've got about 21 food outlet options. Our university colleges, though, these are for smaller residence options on our campus open to any Waterloo student. They have all-you-can-eat style meal plans. So every student pays the same amount. You go in. If you want seconds for every meal, grab it. If you want dessert with every meal, you can add that on. They also have chocolate milk on tap. So you just say it's unlimited chocolate milk when you live at one of those residences. That was the highlight of my first year. So you never know what you might find. So there's, yeah, the meal plan kind of depends on the residence that you live in.
Okay, well, we're out of time, and I had 186 questions in the Q&A, so I apologize if I didn't get to everyone. But thank you so much, Jay. And again, I just think that these students are probably going to be scrambling now to get to the University of Waterloo because of all your great info. So we appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Jennifer. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.